Yay, you're here and joining us to paint this little rock that we've got going today. And it is the back vision of two little hares or rabbits, but we've got hares running around on our property. So it was based around them. And they're just giving each other a nice big morning hug. So here I am just putting down some colour for the background, and I don't like doing big thick solid backgrounds as I've talked about on heaps of rocks. I just like to lay down a little bit of colour and smush off the edges so that the outer edge of the colour is just blended or smushed across the rock. So I'm using the light pink to do that, because in my mind I am looking to do grey bunnies. I just wiped off too much then, but you kind of get the knack for it as you go along. You're just trying to touch onto the edges, so you're leaving more solid colour closer in to the bunny. Okay, just got to get that right. You can do too much. Yeah, that's a bit better. Keep going. Yeah, sometimes as I'm sort of chatting and going ahead with it, that was much better. I get too carried away with what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just creating that at the lighter pink background because in my mind my bunnies are going to be a grey colour. I've got the grey ready, and I like that pink, the light pink with grey look. So I'm just going to paint the solid colour of the bunnies, so I'm just going to go all over that. You can see it's a nice thin layer, not going too thick at this point. No base coat is needed. And the one thing with rocks, the more layers that you put on it, you've got a really high chance that they're going to peel off. Okay, because as the layers build up and it starts getting heavier, like top heavy with product, then it is a really high chance of peeling and cracking throughout the life of the rock, mainly after a couple of weeks' time. As all the products start evaporating, the water evaporates out of the product, and then some cracking can start. So you've got to use compatible products, and you don't want to go too thick with them. So yeah, it is a thing. You just have to start thinking beyond your desk, because while we're sitting here and colouring, and you can build up 20 layers and it's going to look beautiful, but would you put that much time into your rock if you thought that it was going to be damaged in a month's time? So that's what I look at when I'm creating, and what I've been looking at while I've been testing it and seeing how products sit on the rock. Okay. So all I'm doing here is I'm going back over. You can see I'm doing the second coat now. Then, yeah, just evens up the colour. And I've got that is watery. Okay, that's a pen that has not been shaken up. So you want to give your pen a good shake, give it a little bit of a squiggle. I'm just going to soak a bit of that up, because that is actually too much binder and not enough of the pigment, which is the colour. So after shaking it, this is what the paint should come out like. Okay, so if you're getting that watery mass, a lot of people say my white's watery, my yellow's watery, like da-da-da. You need to keep shaking it. With colours like white and yellow, they need extra shaking. There's some colours that need a little bit more because of the pigment that is used. See here, I'm just doing my shading. Just where one ear will throw a shadow across onto the other ear. Just kind of really making it up. Where one body might cast a shadow onto the second body, and just blending, smushing out those edges. Okay. I'm just sort of looking at it, and just to define it a little bit more, I'm going to go all around the edges, and I'm just going to start blending in some of the darker pink and just create a little bit more of a shadow glow around the rock, and that will just help the picture sort of pop off the rock a little bit. The light pink was kind of a little bit wishy-washy, wasn't quite working. So just adding in a bit more of that colour just gives a little bit more of the depth. And there we go. Just going around the edges with that. Don't forget to do in the ear area as well, because down along the bottom. I'm going to create bigger shadow down the bottom. Yep. I'm going to even make it a little bit darker where they're actually sitting. That would be the biggest shadow on the rock. Okay, come back to what I was saying about doing in between the ears, throwing in the darker color there as well. And you can see now the image is just, that's helped the image just lift up off the rock a little bit more, not so sort of bland and sitting on the rock. Always darker, closer to the element. So the element here are the two hares, so it's darker right close to them. If you got too much of the pink, just smush some more of the lighter pink on, just until you're happy with it. Okay, grab that photo for Facebook friends. And let's keep going. So just going to grab some outlines and start putting in the details, because you know, when you look at it, the shaded picture, like have a look at it before you do the outlines, it actually looks like a hot mess. And it's the same when you're painting a canvas. You get to a point where, I'm just going to put those alarms in that are hugging each other. Yeah, you get to a point in the canvas and you sort of think, oh, this is the ugliest thing I have ever seen. That's the point where you got to keep going. You're just about to nail it. It does get to ugly first, and then it just turns into like an awesome image. Okay. And another little handy hint you might want is when you sketch the picture onto your rock, like take a photo of it then, because you can see as I was painting, I did cover up the arms, where the arms were. And so if you had a picture that you've already taken of where your idea is going, or you've drawn the idea in your ideas book, so you've just got a little bit of reference in case it does, in case you do sort of paint in the details and then you're not quite sure where it all goes. Because I did have to think about where the arms went. Just pull up this side. Sort of. What I've got here is the shading where I'd shaded straight down, and we want the arms to flow up. So I'm just adding some of the lighter grey to hide that shading, so it blends more and becomes more of the hair rather than the line that I created, and just tapping in where the shadow would be, like under the arms. There'd be a little bit more shadowing. So you can always come back in and fix your colours by going on top. Just remember, if you've got two wet colours and they go on top of each other, they are going to bleed into each other. So you just got to think about that as you go. Just fix that line back up. I kind of like that little bit more scribbly look for here, so I'm just adding in some dashes and hashtag kind of lines. Just giving it more of a, I don't know the look. Just a little bit more of a cartoony kind of folky kind of look, rather than, it's just more how I like to draw on rocks. You don't have to do this bit, but that's the kind of look that I like. Primitive look. I don't really know what the name for it is, but this is, you know, you've seen me do it enough times now that you know I like to do a bit of a scribble finish, and that's the look that I like. Okay. Yeah, just always sort of have a look at your rock and think, yeah, you like it, you don't like it. I'm going to write a little saying on it, and that is friends. And that dot there. And that works for me. So what I want you to do, come along, paint your hairs, and show us on our Facebook group over at Reef Rocks Free Workshops. show the colours that you did your hares, and I can't wait to see them, and I can't wait to catch up with you throughout the day.